So hello, BJ with Very Basic Bible. Can look at some very basic Bible topics. I say topics. Sometimes we look at some Bible verses. Sometimes we look at a single word. Sometimes we look at a person. Um, Sometimes we'll see a concept, in there. And oftentimes the word, verse, concept, etc., that we look at is not what the entire video is about, even. So kind of throw you for a loop. Okay, let's see if we can look at a few of these. Share screen. Here we go. Now, I really don't know what I'm going to do beforehand, but I do often pick a book before and chapter beforehand. So I'm just going to start reading. Let's start reading from chapter 6, a penitential prayer. Okay. I said, my God, I am too ashamed and humiliated to raise my face to you, my God, for our wicked deeds are heaped up above our heads and our guilt reaches up to heaven. Man, from the time of our ancestors, even to this day, our guilt has been great. And for our wicked deeds, we have been delivered, we and our kings and our priests, into the hands of the kings of foreign lands. Okay, so because of our wicked deeds, we've been delivered in the kings and the hands of foreign lands, to the sword, to captivity. We've been delivered to pillage and to disgrace, as is the case today. So there's still, yeah. And now, only a short time ago, mercy came to us from the Lord, our God, who left us a remnant and gave us a stake in his holy place. Thus, our God has brightened our eyes and given us relief in our slavery. Ah, the Lord God who left us a remnant gave us a stake in this holy place, given us a secure position in his holy place. Oh, pretty cool. For slaves are we, but in our slavery, our God has not abandoned us. Rather, he has turned the good will of the kings of Persia toward us. Oh, they must have been in Persia. Or the Persian kings are the people in charge, at least. Thus, he has given us new life to raise again the house of our God and restore its ruins, and has granted us a protective wall in Judah and Jerusalem. But now, our God, what can we say after all this? For we have abandoned your commandments, man, which you gave through your servants, the prophets. The land which you are entering to take as your possession is a land unclean with the filth of the peoples of the land, with the abominations with which they have filled it from one end of the to the other by their uncleanness. Do not then give your daughters to their sons in marriage. Is this still a still looks like a prayer? I don't see any quotation marks. Okay. Do not then, God, don't give your daughters to their sons in marriage, to the land we're going into that's filled with abominable feasts. But look, let me see. The land which you are entering to take as your possession. I think he's talking about his own land. I think he's saying we're going back to Jerusalem, God. He's saying in Israel, we're going back to Judah. Israel and Judah are unclean, a land unclean, filth of peoples. Man, do not then, God, give your daughters and sons in their marriage, and do not take their daughters for your sons. Okay, guys, I see it now. I see it. But now, our God, what can we say after all this? For we have abandoned your commandments, which you gave through your servants the prophets, colon. So what is a commandments which God gave them through their servants the prophets? The land which you are entering to take, Canaan. God told Moses, hey, go to Canaan and take this land. The land which you are going in possession to take is a land with filth of the peoples of the lands, with the abominations with which they have filled it from one end to the other by their uncleanness. That's true. Whenever Moses went to go into the land, it was unclean. God was like, it's got abominations. And God told Moses, do not then give your daughters to their sons in marriage. And do not take their daughters for your sons. Never promote their welfare and prosperity. Why? Because they're filthy, unclean, and abominable. They do heinous acts. They're evil and sinful. Thus you will go. Thus, if you do this, Israelites, you will grow strong. You will enjoy the produce of the land and leave it as an inheritance for your children forever. I'm going to read down to verse 15. After all that has come upon us for our evil deeds and our great guilt, though you, our God, have made less of our sinfulness than it deserved and have allowed us to survive as we do, shall we again violate your commandments by intermarrying with these abominable people? So the prayer is because they intermarried with bad people. Would you not become so angered with us so as to destroy us without remnant or survivor? Ooh, earlier he said, God, you left the remnant, but now we're breaking your commandments and we're marrying foreign people. You're going to take away the remnant. Lord, God of Israel, you are just. Yet we have been spared, the remnant we are today. Here we are before you in our sins, because of all this, we can no longer stand in your presence. That's crazy. Man, that's a messed up prayer. He's like, God, you've done all this good stuff for us. You brought us back out of the land. You brought us back home. But then the very thing you commanded us to do, not marry foreign women, is what we did. So God, even the remnant, you're going to take away. Isn't that crazy? Over here. Remnant. Let's see what that is. Genesis 1. So God sent me ahead of you to ensure for you a remnant on the earth and to keep you alive by a great deliverance. Who was sent ahead? Joseph could not control himself. Right here, 45. And Joseph could not control himself. Have everyone leave. He shouted. So there was no one with him. And when Joseph made himself known to his brothers didn't know him. Right? Control F, remnant. Okay, right there. Okay, now do not be grieved with yourselves because you sold me here. They sold Joseph into slavery. Famine has been in this land 2 years, and there are still 5 years in which there will be neither plowing or harvesting. God sent me. Look at that. Look at, don't be grieved or angry with yourselves because you sold me here. No. Verse 7, God sent me ahead of you to ensure for you a remnant on the earth and keep you alive by a great deliverance. Now, therefore, it was not you who sent me here, but God. A great remnant, okay. They're fixing to die. Still 5 years of famine and harvesting. So God sent Joseph ahead of them to ensure that a remnant would stay. Okay. What's the remnant? Remnant. Oh, look at this. For only Og, king of Bashan, was left of the remnant of the Rephaim. Okay. There's a small remnant of the Rephaim. The Rephaim are a people group. They're kind of giant type people, possibly. And he's saying only Og, king of Bashan, was left of the remnant of Rephaim. So a remnant. Oh, yeah, one of the remnant of Rephaim, Og, king of Bashan. He alone was left of the remnant of the Rephaim. For Moses struck them and drove them out. Moses struck the Rephaim, drove the Rephaim out. So there's a remnant, and only Og is left. No more remnant, just Og. So they used to be a people in the land. Then Moses struck them out, and there was a one of the remnant. Now Og is the only one left of the remnant. What's the remnant? Up here, we got a remnant that Joseph said God sent him ahead to Egypt to save people for a remnant. Okay. 2 Samuel 14:7. So now we got a different remnant. Okay. Now behold, the entire family has risen against your servant, and they said, hand over the one who struck his brother, so that they may put him to death for the life of his brother whom he killed, and eliminate the heir as well. So they will extinguish my coal which is left. Why? They're going to kill his brother, put him to death for the life of his brother. So one brother kills another, then they're going to put the second brother to death. So they will extinguish my coal which is left, so as to leave my husband neither name nor remnant. So they're going to kill, okay, it's my husband and my sons. So this must be a lady talking, right? Lady talking, saying, hey, one brother killed one of my sons killed the other of my sons. Now the people are going to kill my second son. Now me and my husband, we're not either going to have neither name nor remnant on the face of the earth. We're not going to have anybody left. If there's no sons left and they have no remnant, the remnant must be their sons. It's their family line. Joseph was sent ahead of his brothers by God to ensure for you a remnant, to keep you alive by a great deliverance, not to let the people die in the famine. Okay, ensure for them a remnant. Og was left of the remnant, and then he was the only one left of the remnant. When they kill Og, I bet the remnant's gone. I bet there's no more. I bet remnant means an amount of people. There's a bunch of people, 2 sons right here. Then one of them dies. Now they want to leave them neither name nor remnant. They want to leave them no sons. They won't have a remnant. They want to have someone to carry on the family name. Okay. Now the Gibeonites were not the son. Okay. First, 2 Samuel 14, 2 Samuel 14, 2 Samuel 21. The king called the Gibeonites and spoke to them. Now the Gibeonites were not of the sons of Israel, but the remnant of the Amorites. Okay. So they're a remnant of the Amorites. And the sons of Israel had made a covenant with them, the remnant, the Gibeonites. Okay. All right. So Israel defeated all the Amorites except the Gibeonites. So they were the remnant of the Amorites. The remnant of the cult prostitute who remained in the days of his father Asa, he eliminated from the land. Good. Get rid of that remnant. If you get rid of that remnant, then now, look at this. Ensure for you a remnant on the earth to keep you alive. She said to leave my husband neither name nor remnant. The Gibeonites, after David, after Joshua in the book of Judges, defeated all the Amorites. Only the Gibeonites were left. The Gibeonites were not of the sons of Israel, but of the remnant of the Amorites. And now the very small remnant of the cult prostitutes, he eliminated. Good. Get rid of them. Good. No more. Perhaps let's look. For out of Jerusalem will go a remnant, and survivors out of Mount Zion. So the remnant is a survivor. Okay. Oh, look at this. And I will abandon the remnant of my inheritance. Yikes. So that M is capitalized. God's going to inherit them. Okay. Let's go look in the New Testament. Look at all that. Okay. Let's see. Let's look a little more in the Old and then look in the New real quick. Okay. A believing remnant. Broken people, you peoples, and be broken, you peoples, and be shattered. And listen, all remote places of the earth, get ready and yet be shattered. Get ready, yet be. Well, there's not the word remnant, and up here, there's not the word remnant. But the translators of this Bible believe that Isaiah 4 and Isaiah 8, 9 are talking about a remnant. They believe Isaiah is talking about a remnant, but they don't use the word remnant. Okay. Isaiah 10:20, full context, full chapter. Woe to those who enact unjust statutes and who constantly record harmful decisions. Woe, because it's unjust. So as to deprive the needy of justice and rob the poor among the people, so that the widows may be their spoil and the plunder the orphans. Orphans and widows are going to be plundered and spoiled. That's no good. Now, usually, what do you get as spoil from battles? Gold. They're saying widows, man, they're good. What will you do in the day of punishment and the devastation which comes from afar? What are you going to do? To whom will you flee for help? And where will you leave your wealth? All these unjust statutes that you've done, the day of punishment's coming. Nothing remains but to crouch among the captives or fall among those killed. In spite of all this, God's anger does not turn away. His hand is still outstretched. Yikes. Control F. Remnant. Okay. As my hand reaches to the kingdom of the idols, whose carved image was greater than those of Jerusalem, Samaria, so shall I not do to Jerusalem and her images, just as I have done to Samaria and her idols. Hey, I'm God. Just like I've beaten up the idols of the other countries, my hand has reached to the kingdom of them. I should be beating up Jerusalem and Samaria because they have idols and images. So God don't play favorites. Now, on that day, the remnant of Israel, but I thought he was going to beat up Israel and such. And those of the house of Jacob who have escaped will no longer rely on the one who struck them, but they will truly rely on the Lord, the Holy One of Israel. A remnant will return, the remnant of Jacob, to the mighty God. For though your people, Israel, may be like the sand of the sea, though there's a bunch of people in Israel, only a remnant will return, within them will return. As destruction is determined, overflowing, like God's going to kill them all. Remember, God said, hey, I'm going to strike down the idols, but a remnant will return. For though the people of Israel may be like the sand of the sea, God's saying, I'm going to destroy you, and only a remnant within them will return. Just like Jacob said, hey guys, I was sent down here to save you and to have at least a remnant. We could say at least a remnant, so everybody doesn't die. Just like that lady said, hey, one of my sons killed the other. Now they want to kill one of my two sons killed the other. Now they want to kill the son. So now I won't even have a remnant. I had a small amount. Here, what is this? Though there will be like the sand of the sea, God is going to destroy them, but a remnant will return. Okay, God's going to, so he's not going to kill both brothers, right? He's not going to let them die in the, like in Joseph said, hey, there's a famine, but I was sent here to make sure there's a remnant. The lady said, I have two sons and one of them's fixing to die. I don't want that to happen. Right here, God said, I'm going to destroy Israel, but a remnant will return. Okay. Pretty cool. So a remnant, a small amount, even though God's angry. Let's look at the two New Testament verses real fast. If I remember, yep, all this Old Testament, Romans, 2 verses. Let's see. Now, this is just NESB. You could look up the New King James Version, the NIV, the CSB, the Christian Standard Bible. You could look up all sorts of translations and see. Okay. Isaiah cries out concerning Israel. Isaiah, though the number of the sons of Israel may be like the sand of the sea, only the remnant will be saved. Paul is quoting in Romans 9:27. Though they may be like sand of the sea, only remnant will be saved. And look down here. In the same way, then, there has also come to be at the present time a remnant according to God's gracious choice. A remnant of Israel, because that's what he's talking about up here. God chooses who the remnant will be. I have kept for myself 7,000 men who have not bowed the knee to Baal. In the same way, then, there has come to be at the present time a remnant according to God's grace. But if it is by grace, it is no longer on a basis of works. So otherwise, grace is no longer grace. What then? What Israel is seeking, it has not obtained. Okay, but God is going to keep a remnant. At the present time, a remnant according to God's gracious choice. It's all because of God's gracious choice. God's gracious choice gives us a remnant. Now, I could keep reading, but trying to keep this kind of short, right? I think I've already gone pretty long. Okay, guys, go look up more about that word remnant. See what it means in the Old Testament and the New Testament. New Testament looks very theological. Whereas in the Old Testament, it's just talking about probably a small amount, I think a small amount of people that are saved to carry on the family line. Okay, I'm glad we could figure that out, kind of. All right, guys, see y'all in the next Very Basic Bible.